Welcome back to the Optimal HRV instructional video series. My name is Matt Bennett, co-founder of Optimal HRV, and in this third instructional video, we're going to look at how you set up your HRV reader, how to set up the app, and how to take a reading. So we're going to get very detailed here, but hopefully to set you up for success. Everything's very simple, but we want to make sure that we give you all the information to set everything up so you can take accurate readings on a daily basis. So most of you will be taking, even though our device works with other HRV readers, the one that we recommend for most people is the Kaido Bluetooth HRV reader. You can find this on Amazon and online as well. We like this because it's very simple to use. One of the things that's so simple, it only has one input hole. So let's first of all take about how do we charge this device. Very simply, in your package with your device, you should get a USB charger. A little bit different than a lot of chargers. Instead of having the cell phone charger, it just has a charger that looks like a headphone jack. So you plug that in the hole, and then the USB, you can plug it into a computer you have it, or if you just have a typical USB charger, just plug it into the charger, plug it into the wall. A few hours later, you will have a full charge. The other great thing about this reader is once you fully charge it, you can use it for weeks at a time without recharging it. So a little red light will go on when you need to recharge it, but you can get a lot of readings out of one charge. So the other thing, you won't see any on-off buttons to this device either. The easy thing to do is most of you will have an earlobe reader. So you just put it on your earlobe, and then again, you plug it into that one hole. Now the device is on. It starts to emit a Bluetooth signal that your phone can pick up. So this is how you'll take a reading. Plug it in. It's got a little clip, so you can just attach it to your shirt here. Again, as we mentioned in previous readings, you'll want to maintain, if you sit up to take a reading, sit up every reading. If you lay down for every reading. So again, we want that consistency, but this is all it looks like. So you plug this in, 3 minutes later, you will have a reading. So after the reading's done, we highly encourage you to unplug the reader. This turns it off. It saves that battery life. So sometimes I forgot and left it plugged in, and I go to take a reading and I realize I need to charge it. So always good practice to unplug it after a reading. So that's how simple it is for the reader, not very complex at all. Now let's look at setting up the app. There's a few things we need to do just to make sure that our app is set up. A lot of times you can do this just one time. You won't have to worry about any of this ever again. But I just want to make sure, especially the first time you use the reader, that we set you up well. First of all, simply is the login page. For most of you using this device, you will get from us, Optimal HRV, the email and the password for you to log in. So some of you might, if you're watching this later on, create an account and those sort of things. But most of you will just get an email and a password from us. You don't have to worry about the organizational piece here as well. So you'll get the email, you'll get the password. I highly encourage you, if you're a single user and you're using this on your phone, click that Remember Me box there as well. That way you get on each and every time. If you have trouble signing in, you can click that and we will send you a refresh password to your registered email device. So pretty simple for most of us who have used apps in the past. The next thing you'll get is a dashboard. Some of you will get this, especially if you're an admin to a group or an organization. For our purposes right now, we just want you to click the user. So we're talking about taking a reading. In later instructional videos, we'll talk about that group option. But for most of you, you'll want to click that user button, especially for all of us when we're taking a reading. Next thing is I just want to go through the different pages. Most of these you will not use very often, but I just want to show you what those are. And you can kind of see here at the bottom of these pages, we'll start from the left on the events things. This is just if you're signed into a new group, you'll see here that I got created under the Bennett family organization. So this just gives you updates on what you're doing. Again, not necessarily something you need to pay attention to on a daily or even weekly basis, but just wanted to point out that if you're added to a new group, this is where that will show up. The other piece here is a My Groups page. So this is the little person icon there in the bottom. It just says what groups you're active on, and if somebody requests you to join a group, it can be there as well. So again, not a page that most of you will look at, maybe even on a monthly basis. So if there are changes, if you join a different group, it will show up here. But again, I just wanted to let you know what this icon is, but for most of you, not something that you'll pay attention to very often. The page that we do want you to focus on a little bit is that My Profile page. So this helps you set up both the Bluetooth reader. It's one way to set up the reader. Also a way to set up a profile as well to make sure we get your most accurate data to you. Profile page, I'm sure you've seen something like this before. Here you can see that I'm 45 years old at the recording of this video, born in 1974. If you want to send me a birthday present, November 21st specifically. But this, we just get your date of birth, your sex, male, female, other. You can choose from that. Again, we don't share this information. It just helps us get the best reading possible to you. So again, just fill this out the first time. You probably don't have to go back to this page ever again. So again, just some of that initial setup piece to help us get your data as accurate as possible. So now with that setup done, let's talk about taking a reading. So first, connecting the reader. Again, we want to make sure that we plug in the reader first. So this will activate this. Plug it in, just attach it to a piece of clothing, plug it in, get that to your ear. And then most of you will click, the easiest way to do it is start activity. Now, once you click start activity, and my screen will probably be a little different than yours because I have other Bluetooth devices on me at all times. I'm a big nerd about this stuff. So I have another device called Whoop on right now. So I just put that on there to show that if your BT, it usually shows up, the Kaido reader is a BT HRV reader. If it doesn't show up here, some of you it'll show up right away. You just want to do set up new device. You usually only have to do this once, but just in case you're like me and you've got other HRV readers around, I wanted to show you that option as well. When you click set up new device, it will go to this page. And the first page here, the devices page, and you want to do, this is a little bit important, you want to click the link to the right side of that. So when that link is just gray like it is on that first sheet there, it means it's not connected. So when you click that little link, that little square looking page there, it will connect to your Bluetooth reader and you'll be ready to go. Again, if you're not like me and you only have one Bluetooth reader in your life, this will be a lot simpler process, but I just wanted to show you just in case. So click that, you'll be ready to go. You can also go into your profile page under app setting. You'll get a very similar page as here with devices, and you can select that there as well. Again, most of you will not have to read this. I'm making much more complicated than it will be. For most of you, again, once you start the reading, it will show the device, your BT HRM device, and then you click that and you're ready to go. So once you do that, you will see this page. This means your heart rate variability. We're taking a measurement. So a 3-minute reading. So again, sit as still as possible, or if you're laying down, just stay as still as possible. Breathe normally. 3 minutes is all we need there. And then at the end, you'll have two options to see the pages. And I've shown you two different readings that I've got. A not so great reading. I'm recovering from a little bit of a cold. So one of my readings recently was a yellow. So just if you think, hey, the founder of Optimal HRV is probably always in the green, not always the case. So here was a negative reading for me. Again, in the next training, we'll talk about how to look at these different readings. But in this sheet, we give you the last reading. So the latest reading is the reading you just took, the previous reading, which is the last reading you took, and then you have a 7-day rolling average, which is your last week, 30-day rolling average, which is your last month, and then an all-time average as well. And again, in the next video, we'll talk about how to interpret the scores. Again, just kind of reminding for previous training, the higher your score, the better. Think about like a basketball or football game. The higher the score, the better. So you can kind of see here is that my latest score was under my all-time score pretty significantly. So that's why I got a yellow there. So the recommendation page will just give you a quick recommendation to think about how to plan your day out. If you hit the trends button right next to the recommendation there, you will get this really useful little chart. Now, in this chart, your current score is pink and your other scores are in a more reddish or darker color. So you can see here on the second, the piece with the graph, that this reading was actually a positive reading for me. So my latest readings were actually above all my other baselines. So that would be a green reading, which means, hey, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to take on challenges today. Again, we're going in the next video, we'll talk about how to kind of interpret your results and how to some of the goals involved with this. But this gives you a very simple way to look at your readings, gives you some suggestions for how to plan your day. So again, this might seem a little complicated. You can go back and listen to this video. Most of the stuff, especially in the setting up the app, you only have to do one time. After that, you can just plug in your reader and take a reading and go from there and get your results. So I want to thank you. Like I said, in the next video, we'll talk about how to interpret your results, how to set goals with the Optimal HRV app, and getting the most out of it and how to improve your scores as well. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much.